I'm Slim Thug. I recovered from COVID-19. Protect yourself and protect your loved ones and mask up.
As we reopen our city, it's important that we do it safely. Continue to wear your mask in public.
Wear it like a boss.
Mask up, Houston.
Soy Carlos Correa, de los Astros de Houston. Los invito a que sean parte del equipo y usen sus máscaras protectoras. Y mientras continuamos a reabrir nuestra ciudad, necesitamos hacerlo de forma segura. Continúa utilizando tus máscaras protectoras cuando estés en público. Úsala como una estrella.
I'm Sma Biles. Mask up like a champ to protect yourself and everyone else.
As we reopen our city, it's important that we do it safely. Continue to wear your mask in public.
Wear it like a champ.
Mask up, Houston.
I'm Slim Thug. I recovered from COVID-19. Protect yourself and protect your loved ones and mask up.
As we reopen our city, it's important that we do it safely. Continue to wear your mask in public.
Wear it like a boss.
Mask up, Houston.
Soy Carlos Correa, de los Astros de Houston, Los invito a que sean parte del equipo y usen sus máscaras protectoras. Y mientras continuamos a reabrir nuestra ciudad, necesitamos hacerlo de forma segura. Continúa utilizando tus máscaras protectoras cuando estés en público. Úsala como una estrella.
Hi, I'm Simone Biles. Mask up like a champ to protect yourself and everyone else.
As we reopen our city, it's important that we do it safely. Continue to wear your mask in public.
Wear it like a champ.
Mask up, Houston.
I'm Slim Thug. I recovered from COVID-19. Protect yourself and protect your loved ones and mask up.
As we reopen our city, it's important that we do it safely. Continue to wear your mask in public.
Wear it like a boss.
Mask up, Houston.
Soy Carlos Correa, de los Astros de Houston. Los invito a que sean parte del equipo y usen sus máscaras protectoras. Y mientras continuamos a reabrir nuestra ciudad, necesitamos hacerlo de forma segura. Continúa utilizando tus máscaras protectoras cuando estés en público. Úsala como una estrella.
Hi, I'm Smell Bows. Mask up like a champ to protect yourself and everyone else.
As we reopen our city, it's important that we do it safely. Continue to wear your mask in public.
Wear it like a champ.
Mask up, Houston.
Welcome to the Greater Houston Partnership's 2020 State of the City Address. Here to sing our national anthem, please welcome Houston's own Cam Franklin, lead singer of The Suffers.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President and CEO of the Greater Houston Partnership, Bob Harvey.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Harvey, and I am President and CEO of the Greater Houston Partnership. Welcome to the 2020 State of the City virtual event. Well, what a year. To say that 2020 has been challenging for Houston would be a monumental understatement. The COVID-19 pandemic, the fall of the oil markets, renewed alarm over racial injustice, these issues and others have presented considerable challenges for our city and other cities around the country. But time and again, I've been amazed by the resiliency and perseverance of Houstonians to rise to the challenge. Throughout these last 7 months, Houston has shown the world what it's made of, working to fix broken systems, growing new industry sectors, and creating a better quality of life for all who call this place home. In just a few minutes, Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner will touch on many of the ways the city is working to recover and rebuild, becoming even better than before. Before that, I want to take a few moments to give you insight into what our focus has been here at the partnership. We began 2020 with a commitment from this organization to make energy transition a focus of our work, recognizing that Houston, as the global energy capital, has both the opportunity and responsibility to lead the global energy transition. While it might have seemed a far-fetched notion a few years ago, Houston's leadership role has become imperative as more energy companies recognize the need to transition to a lower carbon world while continuing to satisfy global energy demand. But when the partnership's chair, Bobby Tudor, laid out our principles on energy transition in January, I think most believe this would be a gradual transition to a lower carbon world in the years and even decades ahead. When the pandemic hit and global energy demand plummeted, it altered the dynamic in ways few could have foreseen and accelerated the movement to reduce carbon. What's clear now is that as the global economy picks back up, we may likely return to a new normal where the energy mix will have significantly altered. With the world fast-tracking the demand for cleaner energy solutions, Houston will need to accelerate our work in this arena in order to remain relevant. Beyond the challenges of a shifting energy landscape is, of course, COVID-19. At the partnership, we began our response to the virus very quickly in mid-March, recognizing that nothing was business as usual and that our member companies and the broader business community needed resources and advice on how to operate. We launched efforts to help explain and guide our members around new federal relief programs being rolled out, such as the Paycheck Protection Program and other resources under the CARES Act. We also quickly pivoted to hosting virtual programming to provide updates on the virus and the best advice and protocols. Shortly thereafter, we began participating in twice-weekly calls with the leadership from the TMC and the city and county health departments on the status of the virus and what communications we should be helping to deliver to the business community and the public at large. These strengthened relationships have proven invaluable to understanding the impact of the virus here in our region and determine how best to fight it on multiple fronts. In recent months, Houstonians have done their part to help regain some semblance of control over COVID-19 by practicing the proper preventative measures. The number of new infections has fallen significantly from the levels we saw mid-summer. I've also been tremendously impressed by the collaborative nature of our region's response to COVID. We have been proud to serve in a convening role for some of this, but the level of coordination and cooperation between the city, Harris County, healthcare leaders, and the business community is truly unprecedented. Make no mistake, we still have not crushed it, like Mayor Turner says. And without a vaccine, we must remain vigilant or risk a new surge in COVID-19 cases. In recent days, new infections have begun to rise slowly once again, so I want to be clear, this is not the time to let our guard down. The economic impact of COVID-19 will take far longer to remedy. After unprecedented job losses in March and April, our region began to add jobs back slowly in the ensuing months. Today, 220,000 workers here in Houston are still without the jobs they had when the pandemic started. Initial jobless claims continue to be filed at levels several times higher than the pre-COVID normal. The partnership recognizes that when we discuss Houston's COVID recovery, that includes getting people back to work. We are committed to helping our region recover from the pandemic and the recession it has spurred. Some of the growth engines we've relied on to help us dig out from previous downturns aren't as strong as they used to be, and it will require a partnership with city leaders to attract new companies and expand the ones already here, ensuring we have the jobs our residents need to rebuild Houston as an economic powerhouse. We believe this city is up to the challenge. As I mentioned before, COVID and the energy industry aren't the only challenges we face this year. Following the killing of Yates High School graduate George Floyd in Minneapolis this summer, the partnership made a public commitment to play a key role here in Houston in reforming broken systems, building up communities, offering support, and removing barriers. In August, we announced a new initiative called One Houston Together, which is our effort to address racial inequity and injustice here in Houston. It involves building a shared understanding of systemic and individual racism and establishing structural changes within our organization to ensure a lens of equity permeates everything we do, from economic development to public policy to our programmatic offerings. To be clear, part of this means reckoning with our own past as an organization. The partnership was born out of the combination of several groups, including the Houston Chamber of Commerce, which was established in 1840. We've played a part in everything that has happened in Houston over the years, both the good and the bad. This legacy prompts distrust among Houston's Black community and requires us to show through action that we are all in on addressing this issue of racial equity and not making empty promises. We've taken a number of steps, including efforts to significantly increase the diversity of our board, as well as the creation of a racial equity committee of the board, chaired by Dr. Ruth Simmons, president of Prairie View A&M University, and Gretchen Watkins, president of Shell Oil Company. This group is working to chart the partnership's path forward. In September, we hosted a series of webinars around critical issues such as racial inequities in education and healthcare. Recordings of these important, impactful conversations are now available on our website. Our goal with One Houston Together is simple. We want to deliver substantive, programmatic, and policy outcomes that will reduce inequity in Houston. The pandemic has shone a bright light on these inequities, from access to quality education for Black and Hispanic students to adequate health care for these communities disproportionately affected by COVID-19. As work to rebuild the economy continues, there's a growing concern that instead of a V-shaped recovery that lifts everyone back to where they were, we could instead see a K-shaped recovery that splits communities along socioeconomic and racial lines, with minority communities suffering the brunt. According to an analysis by Harvard and Brown universities, we're already seeing that K-shaped recovery, at least in these early stages. Here in Texas, as of early August, the rate of employment for those making more than $60,000 a year is down 1.5% from pre-pandemic levels. For those making less than $27,000 a year, the rate of employment is 15.2% below the pre-pandemic level. We simply cannot allow that to happen. In this, the fourth largest city in our nation, real recovery must include all Houstonians. That means eliminating the barriers to opportunity and access for our minority workforce. It also means support for minority entrepreneurs and businesses. It's worth noting that we often speak with pride of Houston being America's most diverse city. This is our moment to make Houston America's most inclusive and open city, one that truly does offer opportunity for all. Finally, I'd like to thank Mayor Turner for his own efforts in addressing racial justice and for appointing me to his police reform task force. I was pleased to serve on the task force, which released its report last month. I look forward to Mayor Turner implementing the recommendations in the task force report, which will accelerate Houston's progress towards becoming a more equitable and inclusive city. Before we continue the program, I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors for helping make today's event possible.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. Your generous support is essential to the success of the Greater Houston Partnership and our mission of making Houston greater. Please join us in thanking our 2020 State of the City sponsors. Our platinum sponsors, AT&T, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas, Chevron, Citgo Petroleum Corporation, Comcast, Shell Oil Company, Verizon. Today's gold level sponsors, AIG, BP America Inc., HCA Houston Healthcare, Linebarger, Gogan, Blair & Sampson, LLP, Motorola Solutions, North Houston District, Page, the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center, UT Health. Our silver level sponsors, AECOM, BBVA, Centerpoint Energy, Cheniere Energy Inc., Cigna Healthcare of Texas Inc., Civil Tech Engineering Inc., ExxonMobil Corporation, Haynes and Boone, HEB, Hush Blackwell LLP, Jacobs, Kroger, Lone Star College, Norton Rose Fulbright, Port Houston, Prairie View A&M University, S&B Infrastructure Limited, Texas Medical Center Supply, Texas Southern University, Traffic Engineers, Inc., Winstead PC, Union Pacific Railroad, Zarenkelk Engineering Services, Inc., VIP Reception Underwriter, Accenture, Social Media Underwriter, Texas A&M University, Program Underwriter, Reliant, an NRG company, Supporter, Houston Contractors Association. Also thanks to our technology partner, Houston First Corporation, and our production partner, Vision. The Greater Houston Partnership would also like to thank the 2020 signature sponsors who provide annual support for our events, business resource groups, and councils. In addition to their generous support, I would also like to acknowledge our executive partners who support the partnership and our community at the highest level of membership. A special thank you to the partnership's dedicated board members and 1,100 member companies for their investment in the partnership's mission. The Greater Houston Partnership would like to express our appreciation to the members of Houston's Consular Corps for their work to establish positive foreign relations between the Houston region and their respective countries. Their leadership is invaluable to building and maintaining the region's key international relationships. The Greater Houston Partnership would also like to acknowledge our elected officials, the men and women who represent Houston at the local, state, and federal level for their dedication and commitment to our region. Please join us in thanking all of our sponsors, members of the Consular Corps, and our elected officials. Together, we are making Houston greater.
Again, thank you to today's event sponsors and our production partner. Thanks to our friends at Houston First for supporting this event. And now it's my pleasure to welcome University of Houston Chancellor, Dr. Renu Khator, who will introduce Mayor Turner.
Thank you, Bob. I am delighted to be here today and especially happy to introduce our mayor, Sylvester Turner. I know everyone is eager to hear what he has to tell us about the state of the city. But first, let me tell you a little about the state of the mayor. He's a native Houstonian who grew up in Acres Homes and attended the University of Houston, go Cougs, and Harvard Law School, another good school. He served in the Texas House of Representatives with distinction from 1989 to 2016. He's now in his second four-year term as mayor of the country's fourth largest city. Houston has certainly grown and prospered during this time. And as our chief executive, Mayor Turner deserves all the credit. But Houston has faced its share of hardships too, including budget deficits, Hurricane Harvey, social unrest, and of course, the COVID-19 pandemic. The mayor's leadership during these challenging times has been equally admirable, and the positive response from our community has been inspiring. We should all be proud to be Houstonians. At the University of Houston, I have had the pleasure of getting to know the mayor. He has been to the campus many times. He was just recently there to encourage the students to vote in the current election. I used to think he visited so often because he's such a gung-ho cougar, which he is, but it's more than that. He is there because it's Houston's university, and he's genuinely interested in everything Houston, all our universities, all our institutions, and of course, all of Houstonians. And that is why he has been so successful. Please help me welcome Mayor of the City of Houston, Sylvester Turner.
It is an honor to be with you today for my 2020 State of the City address. Thank you, Dr. Couture, for the very generous introduction. Go Cougs. This is my 5th State of the City, and while each one has been special, this one during an unprecedented year is significant while we're in the midst of a global pandemic, social and civil unrest, economic instability, and a highly charged election season. Since March, 196 meetings, conferences, and conventions have been canceled or rescheduled, which equates to 539,000 hotel rooms, an estimated economic loss to our city of $332 million. Currently, citywide hotel occupancy is at 44%, but downtown, it is 17%. Businesses were forced to close and or reduce capacity, and many employees are working remotely. In the Houston metropolitan area, 350,000 employees were laid off in March and April. Since then, we have recouped 142,000 jobs, but that leaves 207,000 jobs that we need to recover to return to pre-COVID-19 employment. The city's revenue stream has been affected with a loss in sales tax and other revenue of over $107 million. I have charged Houston first with reimagining their role in our convention and entertainment business to seek out additional opportunities, including additional revenue sources. For the meetings industry, there is a bright spot. The Houston First sales team immediately pivoted, working with clients to rebook Houston into the future. They have been able to recapture 23 out of 24 key citywide programs and 92% of the contracted room nights for future years. This was a critical and proactive response, and it will provide economic resiliency in years to come. Yet the impact for 2020 and into 2021 will be significant for our hospitality community. But what you cannot foresee, and in some cases prevent, you simply must manage. Since the first initial positive cases, the Houston Health Department has led one of the most remarkable response to the pandemic in the country. We have established free testing sites, and we have hired over 300 contact tracers to help combat the spread of COVID-19. In April, I tapped former Shell Energy CEO Marvin Odom to lead Houston's COVID-19 response and recovery. Marvin is no stranger to tackling big challenges head-on. He was the city's Harvey recovery czar, and in both positions, he graciously accepted a generous salary from the city of $1. Also in April, I launched the Mayor's Houston Equity Response HERD Task Force to provide essential resources and educational tools to our city's vulnerable and at-risk populations. Working with partners in education, healthcare experts, and community groups, the task force has distributed 1.3 million masks, made more than 4,000 food and supply deliveries, and created the successful Mask Up campaign. It also hosted virtual town halls to provide support and resources to those facing mental health challenges as a result of the pandemic. The health department has established a mental health support line, 713-999-9442, taking calls from 1 to 11 p.m. with the federal CARES dollars. We have provided $35 million in rental assistance, and $20 million in grants to small businesses. In January, I instructed Public Works to present a systematic plan that identifies those streets that need to be seriously rehabilitated, a potential funding source, and an estimated timeline for work to commence. I am proud to say that in September, we kicked off the program to repair streets throughout the city of Houston. This year, we unanimously passed a balanced budget with an 8% fund balance without having to lay off or furlough municipal employees or first responders. Included in the budget is $15 million for a rainy day fund and money for five police cadet classes. In February, my Office of Resilience under Director Marissa Aho launched Resilient Houston. It is a framework for how the city should address future shocks and stressors regarding transportation, natural disasters, and pandemics. In April, we launched the city's first ever climate action plan with a goal of carbon neutrality by 2050, if not sooner, with the support of energy companies. And this year, the city also hosted the inaugural Houston Climate Week with over 5,200 registrants to kick off implementation of Houston's climate action plan. And late last year, we kicked off Evolve Houston, a public-private partnership with NRG, Shell, Centerpoint, University of Houston, and the Sustainability Office to accelerate electrification of private and commercial fleet vehicles in Houston. After the city faced Harvey in 2017, this year, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, awarded the fourth federal hazard mitigation grant to the city of Houston. The award marks the fourth and final approval sought by the city to pursue large-scale and transformative flood mitigation projects that will reduce flooding in areas mostly affected by record-high rainfall. Over the last year, we have made tremendous progress in our goal to transform Houston into Silicon Bayou. The Rice Alliance announced their Clean Energy Accelerator, which will help to create and foster a new generation of young entrepreneurs in our city. We announced the first climate tech incubator in the city, which will be in Midtown's 16-acre Innovation District, a growing epicenter for the city's innovation ecosystem. Greentown Houston will occupy the former Fiesta grocery store with more than 40,000 square feet of prototyping lab, office, and community space for about 200 to 300 employees of 50 young companies. Greentown Houston will be the innovation showcase for the energy transition. The Innovation District is already home to the ION, multiple startup support organizations, investors, major corporations, universities, civic and business leadership organizations downtown, all connected by a Metro rail line. The city is committed to ensuring that the ION and the surrounding Innovation District benefits all Houstonians, including those living and working near the facility. We are committed in ensuring that all community interests are heard and represented in the final agreement, which we hope to have accomplished by the end of 2020. I am so proud that we expanded our groundbreaking digital alliance with Microsoft to bring to Houston Accelerate, a new program designed to address economic recovery through skilling both underserved communities and reskilling the many Americans impacted by COVID-19. But our work in the city of Houston is about more than infrastructure and innovation. We are also focused on people and neighborhoods across Houston. This year, we became one of only 2 mayoral offices in the nation to launch an Office of Adult Literacy Advocacy, serving as a model of economic impact through service for cities across America. We held a virtual groundbreaking with the Library Foundation on the Barbara Bush Literacy Plaza, which had been delayed. We expanded the Mayor's Office of Human Trafficking to also focus on domestic violence. In June 2019, the Complete Communities Initiative expanded to 5 additional neighborhoods: Alief Westwood, Fort Bend Houston, Cashmere Gardens, Magnolia Park Manchester, and Sunnyside, where we are working to revitalize and transform Houston's most under-resourced neighborhoods and create a more equitable and prosperous city for all Houstonians. The proactive response to racial inequity and social injustice is Complete Communities. Like other major cities around the country this year, we have been confronted with the calls for social justice and racial equity. Throughout the summer, we watched as other major cities were rocked by unrest and demands to defund the police. But prior to the death of George Floyd, the marches, demonstrations, and protests, I have asked the business community and financial institutions to invest in my Complete Communities initiative. It has not been easy, and the responses have been way too slow. Some have stepped up, and I want to say thank you. And I certainly want to thank the Houston Endowment for investing $2.5 million in the management and community initiatives of Complete Communities, which represents by far the single largest donation. In Houston, we witnessed a crowd of 60,000 people who marched from Discovery Green to City Hall following the death of George Floyd. That protest, by and large, was peaceful, but meaningful investments and reforms are needed even in our city. I appointed a task force on policing reform, led by Chair Larry Payne, which recently submitted 104 recommendations. Most of them I wholeheartedly support. Up-to-date body cameras, restructuring the Independent Police Oversight Board, expanding our crisis intervention response teams. These recommendations were not just intended for the mayor and city council, but for the city as a whole. And I would encourage all of you to read the report. Even in the midst of this pandemic, the city of Houston and Harris County this year have partnered to fund a new COVID-19 homeless respite and rehabilitation center. Individuals suffering from severe mental health issues while experiencing homelessness are some of our most vulnerable during this pandemic. This groundbreaking facility will enable mental health experts to connect with them so they are permanently housed. In addition, the city and county have allocated $65 million to house 5,000 persons over the next 2 years. Working with the Coalition for the Homeless, the community-wide COVID-19 housing program represents an unprecedented coordinated effort on the part of the city and the county to address homelessness in the region and will permanently house people who are currently experiencing literal homelessness and either living in shelters, encampments, or on the streets, as well as those who may fall into homelessness as a result of the economic effects of the coronavirus. Houston is a city that continues to transform, to innovate, and to be an example for the rest of the country on how to be diverse, welcoming, and inclusive. As we gradually take steps to reopen, we recognize that the full recovery will take several years. But when we work together, we put ourselves in the best position to manage the virus and rebound from it. As we move forward through these unprecedented times, the city's foundation is strong. The city itself is resilient, and the city's future is very bright. Thank you.
We appreciate all of you for joining us today. As the mayor made clear this afternoon, our city continues to accomplish great things, from significant advances in innovation and technology that will power our next generation of companies, to taking on sustainability efforts that will make us a leader on climate action and energy transition. We have much to be proud of, but obstacles to our continued success remain. We must work together as a community to overcome COVID-19, rebuild Houston's economy, and foster those industries that will propel us forward as a great global city. Houstonians can do anything if we do it together. Thank you all again for joining us for the State of the City. And as the mayor says, mask up Houston. Have a great afternoon.
I'm Carlos Correa.
I'm Slim Biles.
I'm Slim Thug. I recovered from COVID-19. Protect yourself and protect your loved ones and mask up.
I want to encourage everybody to be a team player and mask up.
Mask up like a champ to protect yourself and everyone else.
As we reopen our city, it's important that we do it safely. Continue to wear your mask in public.
Wear it like an all-star.
Wear it like a champ.
Wear it like a boss.
Remember, we're all in this together. Mask up, Houston.